If you are about to spend 30 million shillings for a luxury SUV and hope for the best, pause! You are either about to buy the 2026 Range Rover or a Lexus LX 600, and on Kenyan roads, one of them fits your life, the other becomes a very expensive experiment. Most people compare these cars using Dubai roads and TikTok aesthetics. You are about to see the version that survives Thika road diversions and KRA tax figures. This is for you if you are a buyer choosing between a 2026 Range Rover and a Lexus LX 600 and you hate guesswork with money at this level, which I think is everyone, unless you are a politician who wants to impress the masses. By the end, you will have a clear 3 questions test that tells you exactly which one belongs in your compound, not in theory, but in your life, with your roads and your wallet. This is your Kenyan Import Reality Check, powered by Paradise Hub Motors. Here at Paradise Hub, every week we break down real import costs and ownership so you do not make a million shilling mistake you could have avoided. Everything in this video is based on actual Kenya import math, real-world running costs, and how these cars actually behave on your roads. In this video, we are going to cover presence, interior luxury, performance, off-road reality, full Kenya import math, and what it really costs to own these beasts. One quick tip before we dive in. Do not start your decision with horsepower. Start with where you actually drive and how often you leave tarmac, because that one question is worth more than any spec sheet. You can literally copy and paste this procedure when importing your car through us or any other person, and you will sound like the only adult in the room. Most Range Rover vs Lexus comparisons you have watched were filmed in Canada, London, or Dubai. Perfect roads, zero KRA drama, no Nairobi pothole appearing from nowhere at 90 kilometers an hour like a personal massage from the government. That is not your life. Today, by the end, one of these cars will clearly not qualify to live in your compound. First question. When this car pulls up at your gate, what story does it tell? The 2026 Range Rover's answer is quiet authority. Clean architectural profile, flash bodywork, that face that has been turning heads in Nairobi since before some of your employees finished secondary school. It does not shout, it simply parks at Village Market, and every other vehicle in the lot suddenly feels like it came to the wrong event. The Range Rover's 2026 sounds and looks like I own a private island, and today I felt like driving. Now, the 2026 Lexus LX 600 is sharp, angular, and that spindle grille looks like an engineer woke up, saw a boring car and decided, nah, not today. It is bold, confident, and about as subtle as showing up to a board meeting with a brass band and a press release. If you want drama, Lexus wins it. It announces itself before it even parks. But here in Nairobi, the Range Rover wins presence. The market knows it, your client knows it, and the parking attendant at Two Rivers absolutely knows it. Some battles are decided before the engine is even turned off. This is one of them. Now, we go inside. This is where it gets properly interesting. The Range Rover cabin is an art gallery. Windsor leather, a curved 13.7-inch PV Pro display that, unlike some government websites that you have used, it actually responds to your touch, like it actually respects you. You get ambient lighting across 30 zones so you can set a different mood for every section of Mombasa Road. Plus seats that heat, cool, and massage with a Meridian sound system that makes your playlist sound like a private concert you did not pay enough for. In long wheelbase form, 2 rear executive seats fully recline with deployable walnut tables, a rear screen, and a separate climate control. Business class travel with better suspension and no middle seat. The Lexus LX 600 interior is also genuinely, properly, impressively good. You get 7 seats, excellent cargo space, Toyota build quality that will still feel tight in 10 years, and in the VIP package, rear seats that fully recline with Ottoman leg rests, a Mark Levinson audio system, and enough control panels to make you feel like a pilot. The Lexus interior is very nice, comfortable, premium, and reliable. But here is the honest truth, and this is the only time it needs to be said. The Range Rover interior makes the Lexus feel like it's trying to be very nice. That gap is real, and if interior luxury is a priority for you, and at this price point it should be, the Range Rover wins the category convincingly. Under the Range Rover's bonnet, you get either a 3-liter inline 6 mild hybrid with 395 horsepower or a 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 with 6 or 7 horsepower. 0 to 100 in under 5 seconds in something this heavy and this dignified is faintly ridiculous. It is like finding out your bank manager can sprint. The air suspension absorbs everything: Westland roundabout, upper hill bumps, and even the one pothole on Mombasa Road that has been there so long, Google Maps should classify it as a landmark. The Range Rover processes all of it with a calm that makes you forget the road was ever bad. The Lexus LX 600 is not trying to be a sports car. Its twin-turbo V6 hybrid gives you 479 horsepower, and the electric torque fills every gear change with a smoothness that makes the car feel lighter and faster than it has any right to be. It is not dramatic, it is effortless, like a driver who always arrives composed. Not because the journey was easy, but because they have done this before, many times, in worse conditions. On smooth Nairobi tarmac, the Range Rover is the more refined drive, but the Lexus never feels out of its depth. But we have not talked about what happens when the tarmac ends, because here in Kenya, the tarmac always ends eventually. This is the category that splits the room, and it should split your decision. The Range Rover has terrain response 2 air suspension that adjusts automatically across surfaces, up to 295mm of ground clearance in off-road mode and 900mm of wading depth. It will handle Maram, Highland access roads, and Nairobi to Mara runs without drama. The technology is very excellent. The Lexus LX 600 is built on Land Cruiser 300 hardware, full-time 4-wheel drive, locking center differential, multi-terrain select, crawl control, and body-on-frame construction that shrugs off rough roads the way a politician shrugs off a difficult question, completely and without visible effort. If your life is 80% Nairobi and 20% occasional Mara or coast, the Range Rover handles it and you will not be embarrassed. If you are going to regular rough terrain like a farm in Meru, highland property in Laikipia, access roads beyond reliable tarmac more than twice a month, then the Lexus will still be going strong in year 5, while the Range Rover is at a specialist on Gong Road having a conversation about air suspension higi-haga. Therefore, know your profile. Now, for the section every other comparison video quietly avoids, the part that decides whether any of these cars is a blessing or a budget horror story. Before you fall in love with badges and leather, you need to see what KRA freight and duty actually do to these cars by the time they land in Mombasa. Let's do the Kenya import math, because if you get this wrong, your dream car becomes the thing delaying your next property deal. Let's talk about importing a 2026 Range Rover HSE versus a 2026 Lexus LX 600 into Kenya. And these are the approximate figures, so always verify with a licensed clearing agent before you commit. The Range Rover HSE starts at around £107,000 to £120,000 in the UK, with a CIF to Mombasa of roughly 18 to 20 million shillings, while the Lexus LX 600 comes out of Japan at approximately 18 to 20 million Japanese yen, landing a CIF of around 16 to 18 million shillings. Applying KRA's current duty structure, that is 25% import duty, 25% excise on CIF plus import duty, 16% VAT, plus IDF at 3.5%. Oh my, these taxes are too many. And on top of that, also the Railway Development Levy at 2%. This makes the Range Rover HSE land at roughly 34 to 45 million shillings, where the LX 600 comes in at approximately 28 to 38 million Kenyan shillings. That 6 to 10 million shilling gap is not a rounding error. To get a rough idea of what the 6 to 10 million shilling difference is, that's a serious second vehicle like a Mazda CX-5 or a Harrier. The question is not whether that gap exists. The question is whether the Range Rover experience is worth the gap to you, and we are about to answer that. You have cleared the car, paid the duties, and driven out of the bond. Now comes what no broker puts in the brochure: the cost of actually owning it. On the Range Rover HSE, annual servicing alone runs deep into 6 figures, air suspension components are expensive, and Kenyan roads are not kind to them. Comprehensive insurance at this value, plus a set of 22-inch front flat tires, means your first year of ownership beyond clearance can easily add another 1 million shillings or more to the total bill. The Lexus LX 600 tells a different story. Servicing costs are noticeably lower, parts are widely available across the country, and the platform shares DNA with the Land Cruiser, which means your mechanic probably already knows it. The LX 600 does not surprise you. That reliability advantage and lower running costs stack with the import gap and create a total cost difference that is worth sitting down with before you make a decision. So, which one do you import? Here is the total import test. 3 questions, and do not be like the government. Be honest with yourself when it comes to this. Number 1, the presence test. Does the definitive luxury statement in Nairobi matter more than anything else? If yes, Range Rover. Nothing here tells that story the same way. Not the Cayenne, not even the GLX. Question 2, the reliability test. How dependent are you on one vehicle, and how often does your life take you beyond reliable tarmac? If your honest answer is very, the Lexus LX is your friend. The third question, the rational test. When you add import cost, running cost, insurance, and 5-year servicing, can you fund the Range Rover without financial strain? If yes, across the board, import the Range Rover with confidence. It is the finest luxury SUV you can land in Kenya and is worth every shilling for the right buyer. If you hesitated on any of the 3 questions, the Lexus LX at 22 to 26 million shillings gives you 90% of the experience, 100% of the reliability, and significantly less anxiety at every service interval. One vehicle was built to outlast civilization, the other was built to rule it. In Kenya, both are extraordinary, but only one is right for your actual life, unless you have pockets deep enough to get both. If you want to import any Range Rover SUV, reach out to us on this number or visit our website and we'll get you sorted. Subscribe, drop your comments in the comment section below, and click this video where you get the full breakdown of the new 2026 Range Rover. Click it and I will see you there. Cheers.